business leaders and surgeons and barristers. I see women who are going to win elections and science competitions and arts awards.
Do not be afraid to fail.
We can
Hey everybody, happy Tuesday, happy Talk Tuesdays, and this is a special edition of Tiff Talks. It's been a long time coming for this particular episode that's been postponed for a little while, so we thought we'll do something different to be able to actually release an episode on a Tuesday in the middle of the week. So this episode will be airing on Talk Tuesdays, and it is the conclusion of our From Selfless to Selfish series, and today we're going to be talking about all that goes into egos and super egos, and it's probably going to be the most candid discussion of this actual series, in that it'll be more of a dialogue versus like questions and answers. So for those of you that are new to this platform, my name is Tiffany. I am the owner and operator of this platform, Tiff Talks, created as a safe haven to be able to talk all taboos that are associated with Black and Brown communities. And I will allow my partner to introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. I am Kenshay S. I am the executive talk partner for Tiff Talks, and she did not share it, but we are at 4 years. And again, like she said, this was created to be a safe haven for the community around us, for you guys to come to us and be willing to come to us and have these open and candid conversations that you normally wouldn't have with anybody else.
Right.
We're your listening ears. And we're going to give that advice or that information that we get, and we can just pass along to you guys. So thank you guys for sending in like talk topics and things of that nature. It's been awesome. It's been a hell of a ride.
A journey.
And it's forever growing.
Yeah.
So thank y'all for rocking with us.
Yes. Okay. So egos and super egos. And this is a taboo topic and a kind of touchy topic because we all have them, but we don't all associate with them or even want to take ownership of them.
Right.
Ego is definitely something that we are born with, something that develops and evolves over time from your own life experiences, versus your super ego is something that is conditioned and conformed to own societal rules. So for me, egos and super egos is something that I learned like growing up, but also in my own experience as a social worker. But as it's tied into our world and kind of the round table, we're in this day and age where it's always this back and forth with competition and collaboration, us versus them type thing. And when it comes down to the transition from selfless to selfish, I think it's important that we truly understand that an ego could be your superpower.
Yes.
And being able to establish that your ego is a representation of yourself, and it's one that you develop over time from your own experience, so you can make, remake, and shape it over time.
I totally agree, because when you speak on egos, some people have the big head or whatnot. So some people's ego it could be a defense mechanism, but you build it over time, like she said. I remember times when I was like, oh, well, I'm this, I'm that, but I built myself to be that. So again, it's a learning process. You add to your ego, you make it better, you shape and conform, as she said. So it's always that pillar for your life.
Pillar. I like that. And I think egos is also, like I said, like a representation of one's own self. So it's about how you present yourself.
Correct.
How you go out into the world. I mean, I know me as a parent, something that was like drilled into me that I drill into my kids. Like, when you walk out this door, you represent me. And she's laughing because I literally probably say that to my kids every day, whether it's like the physical, presentation, the emotional presentation, the mental presentation. They are a representation of me. And even there, I guess I would be like their super ego, because I've conditioned them to what's socially norm, and what's socially accepted, but also drilling into them that understanding that they're a representation of me, and like you said, how you build up and how you take away, that's all about value. And I think when it comes down to the ego itself, it's a piece of value that you hold on to, that you have to learn how to shape and recreate into being something.
It's like taffy, you know. It's never stiff. You just keep adding to it, and then it becomes this stretch.
Ooh,
so
I
it
like
becomes
that.
your life.
I like
and
that.
when you said that it's a representation of you, G used to say that, and it also goes back to we used to go to a neighbor's house or go to a friend's house, and she's like, "Don't you go over there and eat nobody food." It wasn't that they couldn't cook or anything like that. She's like, "Don't you go over there saying like I don't feed, looking like I don't feed you."
Yeah,
so she's always say, "Make sure you have on some clean clothes, because if you go out of this house." This me going out this house.
Yes.
So if I had on mismatched socks, baby, G was gonna say take them off, try it again, because when you leave out of Anwood, you are representing me. Yes. So I love the fact when you use that about, you know, when you leave out of this house, you represent me. And she tell her kids that, I'm telling y'all, every day. I can remember, I think Chase was 2. And I joke with her a lot because her kids, I promise y'all, I feel like they started washing clothes at 6 months. But Chase was 2. I can remember him being 2. Chase had on his costume. But they were going outside, like they were getting ready to go somewhere, like to a restaurant or something, and it wasn't costume ready. But Chase wanted to wear his costume. You represent me. Don't leave out this house like a character. But I can remember that, like, she instills that into them. So, like, I think, like you said, you're their super ego.
And I
to help
think,
shape their own ego.
I think that's because as crazy as people may say or not say, like, we're all concerned about appearances. Yeah. Like you said, like, G was like, don't go over there eating nobody food because I don't want people to feel like I'm not feeding you. And the same thing when it comes to your own, you know, personal appearance. Yeah. When we walk out this house, when you leave, if you're not put together, if you're disheveled, then people may think I'm a bad mom, and that will be a bad representation or a bad ego or appearance of me. And I think when it comes down to understanding the value that's attached to your own ego or the lack thereof, it's important to understand that the value starts with the perception. And we may not want to believe that, but the perception, but also the perspective of the artist. So you create the perception of, you create the perspective of yourself, and that perception goes out to the world on what they see. So I think it's important that, you know, we understand the value and attach that value to it, because it's so needed in this day and time. The downfall with that is when we learn this process of value, and adding value, and charging tax to that value, that it oftentimes create this big head like you talk about. And I don't always think a person having a big head is a bad thing. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing to know your own worth, to know, you know, and add tax to your own worth. And I don't think that makes competition, it shouldn't make competition or bad blood. So I guess the battle is always, is it competition or is it confidence?
I believe it's confidence, because you can only compete with yourself. Going out into society, I was raised that, I mean, at first I say growing up, you know, knowing your worth comes over time. But in order for you to, others to know your worth, you have to know your worth. And like she said, add that tax, add that value to yourself. So building yourself is always key.
I like that. I think when it comes down to confidence versus competition, I feel that we should always be in competition with ourselves, because each day you can do better. And I think that's the goal in life, to wake up and do and be better every day, even if it's at 1%. Like, you know, Ken says, if you improve your life by 1% every day, in a year's time, you've improved your life 365% times than where you started. And I feel like that's important to be able to do, and being able to find a balance in competition and confidence is humility. And I think one thing that I'm so grateful that my mom instilled and taught me was just being able to be humble. That's why I'm so big on, like, understanding. People don't have to do for you. So, you say thank you, you say please, you show appreciation, you show acknowledgement of those things, because that's the balance of being in competition with yourself, with the world, but also being confident in that, being able to find a median.
I totally agree with everything she just said.
I think when it also comes to like competition and confidence, there's a very big difference in between posture and position. And we talk a lot like in this season about taking up space. And don't get me wrong, I think it is so important, especially as women, to take up space. When you walk in a room, to know that you're warranted to be there, and you're warranted to take up space. Because I know even in myself, I will minimize myself to make other people feel better, or to feel like I'm accepted in this room, instead of coming in as my whole self. And I think when it comes down to position and posture, position is a part of growing pains. Like, as we grow, as we evolve, we come, those different positions that you take on, they come with growing pains.
I agree.
They come with, some scarring. But when it comes down to posture, then those things are by appointment. And when you walk into a room, you go in with posture because you're coming by appointment, and that you should be there.
So that's the confidence you spoke of when it comes to posture. Being confident in walking in this room, as she would say, knowing that I am the room. I just invited y'all in. That's how I go in every room. Because at the end of the day, you have to walk in as though you own that moment.
Yes.
And I think it was a statement that I made in the last magazine about being the moment.
Yes.
You have to create a moment for me because I am that moment.
Yes.
So it's not being big-headed, but it's just also knowing your worth and the position you hold, and then the posture that you take.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Being the moment. You don't have to create a moment. I am the moment.
That's everyday way, y'all.
When it comes to egos, another thing that really stands out to me, the external effects of egos is, for some people it can be very surface. Although it's definitely an internal process, for others it may be an external process that we in society have to learn to cope with. Like understanding like everybody is not on the same platform or the same road as you, and that doesn't make anyone better than the next.
Correct.
That just means that we all have a different identity or a different perception as it relates to egos and super egos. And I was watching this video that really kind of stood out to me. I don't know if I reposted it or not, but talked a great deal about wealth and the value of wealth, and how so often people will attach wealth to money, when if you really think about it, wealth has nothing to do with money. It's all about fulfillment. And if you're at a place where you have to list your top 5 things of value, then money likely won't even fall into those things, because money does not bring fulfillment. Money is that external thing that we attach to internal things, thinking that it's gonna, take us farther, when the truth is all we truly want in life is to be fulfilled.
That's good. That's real good.
So I think oftentimes what I've learned from my ego versus my super ego that has come with age for me is that my ego is the balance in between. My ego at 35 is one that knows how to apologize, knows how to take ownership, knows how to acknowledge my wrongdoings, my shortcomings, my imperfections, versus my super ego is one that deflects. And I think that has become my superpower, in understanding that my ego is something that I carry with me, but something I can always, like you said, make like taffy, to be able to reshape, to be able to renovate, to renew time over time, to take away, to add to, in order to be able to develop as a person and evolve.
I totally agree. I would have to say that my ego has become my superpower as well. Late to the self-care game, and I know we talk about self-care a lot, but to know that self-care was not big for me. But when I was able to develop that, I also learned my worth. So therefore my ego or my head, not saying that it became any bigger, but I just knew how to distinguish self from society. And being able to do that, it doesn't make you big-headed. It's just know your path, and we're all gonna go out different ways, because we all gonna get to where we're going,
right?
But it's just gonna be different ways. I can recall when Pastor Burks used to say we all like crabs in a bucket. And you have to maneuver, and everybody can't go the same way, because the top person gonna fall off, and it's gonna keep happening. So you have to be able to maneuver, or build this ego and build this fence around you, to know that it's life, and we'll get through it.
I like that you brought up self in this quest of like your ego and super ego, because I really believe that the ego and super ego is definitely all about like one's own self-control too, and self-discipline just the same. And I mean, I've said it before, like in this season, I have not been my best with self-care. But I've had accountability partners that will take me back to, okay, Tiffany, you need to practice self-discipline in this moment. You need to make time to practice self-control, because in order for you to go higher, to go to the next place or the next level, you're going to have to be more concerned with self and self-discipline and self-control, so that you can get to that next stage. And I don't think my super ego had like chimed in and was like, okay, girl, it's time. And my external factors that knew me the best, they were able to give me that and gift me that, because I think we all need those reminders from time to time.
I agree.
Okay, so another thing that goes into ego and super egos, and this is probably the biggest taboo that's associated with egos and self-egos, is karma. Carla the karma. Karma Carla.
She can be a Karen.
Oh yeah, she can definitely be Karen. So Karen and Karma and Karma Carla the Karen. You know what I'm saying? Them three.
All of them.
All three of them. And I've said it before, and I will say it again. For me, when it comes down to karma, she is a woman. And she is a woman just from the attributes that comes with karma. Like, just think about it. Karma never forgets. A woman. Karma is one that is very strategic. A woman, and one that will get you when you least expect it. So for me, I think Carla, Karen, and Karma is a woman, and she's definitely a bad word. She want me to say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it, y'all. I'm gonna be good today. I'm not gonna say it. So knowing who she is, I think when we go out to the world, when we have our perception, and when we give our perception and our perspective as artists of our own ego and super ego, whether it be a protective instinct or not, we need to be mindful that karma is there.
And very real.
And very real. So I think it's important to understand, like, when you're done wrong, when there is something that happens that is not aligned with you or where you are attempting to go in life, there should be no retaliation. And that is so hard coming from a petty person, because I know I'm petty. I mean, I'm better petty in my 30s than I was in my 20s. But yeah, I'm pretty petty. I've grown a lot. But I be scared I'm going to fall back from time. But anyway, sidebar. Anyway, that was a bad sidebar, but that was a sidebar. But I said that to say, protective instinct or not, when it comes down to karma, be mindful that your ego can still be consequented for that. So be careful of how you treat people and how you perceive people, because at the end of the day, you don't want karma to come back and to harm you over something that you did 10, 15 years ago. So it's important that even in your superpower, that you protect it, but you also display it and use it in a way that's not harmful to others.
I agree. So be protective to yourself, because karma will get you too. So don't wrong yourself and don't wrong others.
I like that.
Just be mindful. What goes around comes around. And it will come, like you said, when you least expect it. You can be doing real good, but something can knock you on your, you know what I'm saying? And don't ask God why.
Yeah.
It's karma.
Yeah. So I used to have this ex that would always say, like, you being an ass, make an ass out of you, not them. So I learned that it's important to not retaliate, because retaliation makes an ass out of you, not out of them.
That's good.
So that's from my perspective. And I think it's always like, as you grow older, as you evolve, like, your quest in life is peace. Like, my quest in life is peace.
Nice.
And because I value my peace that much more, then I'm more mindful of my own ego, my own super ego, protective of that. But also I'm mindful of how I treat others and what I allow, myself to be treated as. So it's all about, the boundary that you set with people. People will only treat you how you allow them to. And whether it's their own wrongdoing or not, it's up to you if you accept it. So for me, that's something that I've learned and what I value, and had a clear understanding when it comes to karma.
I agree.
So as we wrap up and kind of go into our announcements, what would you say is your takeaway from this discussion this evening?
It's okay to protect your ego, build your ego. Your super ego is there as an assistant agent to allow you to form who you truly are. It's about worth. It's about knowing who you are. And it's about boundaries. Going back to boundaries, I heard you say that at the end when you spoke of boundaries. You have to. It's imperative not to, because like she said, people are only going to treat you how you allow. Set them, stick with them, know your worth.
Yeah. For me, I guess my most important takeaway is understanding that you are the creator of your own ego and super ego, and to understand that the value in that starts with you. So you set the perception, but also what's perceived of that as well. And in doing that, is nothing wrong with understanding and being in competition with yourself, but balancing competition and confidence, to always be humble and to be mindful that when you get a big head, step back and remember that karma is always watching. So, all right.
This was good.
That was good. That was real good. So, like I said, we have so much going on that this episode has been delayed for a couple of weeks. And it's, apologies on our end. Some other things that definitely kind of took precedent, but we wanted to make sure that we wrapped up this particular series with a way, in a manner that you guys will be able to get the full picture, full circle of what it means to transition from selfless to selfish. Starting with the toxicity that we talked about, to lethal loyalty in that we talked about, and now understanding the ego versus the super ego and the value in that. Now, as we go into this new month of November and officially the fall season, today we actually started our 30 days of gratitude, which every day during the month of November, there'll be a short video from one of our talk community members, an advocate, a supporter, a friend of the show, to share their own personal gratitude. And I think what we have learned, especially during this time, is how important it is to highlight gratitudes. Those simple everyday things that we may overlook. So you can look forward to that, a brand new video every day during the month of November at 4 p.m. with a daily gratitude for the entire 30 days of gratitude campaign.
Yes, and we can't wait for you guys we're going to participate as well. But we do hope that you guys would tune in and then take heed to that, because like she said, it's the small things that we look over. But in order to get those small, the bigger things, we have to appreciate the smaller things.
Right.
And for that, just being grateful.
Yeah. So we also are having our very first official Friendsgiving for Tiff Talks. This has been like something that we've done all like within our peer group for forever, at least the last 10 years.
I agree.
And now we're extending it to the talk community. So there are details that was actually released about that during our actual Talk Tuesdays that was released right at 7. So you can go back to that and check that out. And please sign up to be a part. It is free of charge. We're covering the bulk of the menu. We just ask that you bring a side or dessert, and also contribute to the dinner in a pot that we're going to be gifting to a family, 2 families actually here in Houston. So some other things that are really going on that's exciting is our Visionary Weekend.
Yes, it's a weekend, y'all.
It's a weekend.
And
It's
I
a thing.
can't wait. It's a thing.
It's a thing. It's a mood.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. It's a whole vibe. So our Visionary Weekend retreat is actually the first weekend in December. And tickets registration is now open. You can go on our Eventbrite page in order to complete the registration. I highly, highly, highly encourage you, if you're not able to pay out front the entire cost, take advantage of the payment plan options. They're set up to support and help, because we want to make sure that people are able to be a part, and we too understand that you may not have it all at one time. So take advantage of those payment plan options to save your seat, to mark the date. We're not doing last minute registrations. Unfortunately, we have so many vendors that are involved. We have to make sure that we have good solid head counts and have that information to them in a timely manner. So check that out. As well as during the month of November, we will be celebrating men's health.
Yes.
So the very next episode of Tiff Talks is going to be with talk partner Kenneth Parker, as well as a licensed clinical social worker, Mr. Ray, who's going to be sharing in a dialogue about men's health and the importance of that. So make sure you check that out on Sunday, November the 6th, and that will be debuting on our YouTube channel as well.
Okay.
So I don't think there's any other things that I missed. Did I miss anything?
No, you didn't miss anything. Go on there to register. Like she said, we need that solid head count. So make sure you guys register for that. Also, we have the magazines up for sale. Purchase them.
Yes.
And we get them out to you guys.
Yes. In a timely manner. Free shipping.
Yes.
All right. So outside of that, we appreciate you guys. You will continue to see us throughout the entire month of November, and then again for hopefully you'll be a part of our Visionary Weekend for the first weekend in December. Outside of that, we encourage you to remain connected. Check out our YouTube channel at JJAYKC, the letter K, the letter C podcast, and then also continue to follow us here on IG at JJAYKC Marketing. Outside of that, as we always say, we encourage you to keep talking.